to the Blue Map, and we always want to thank our sponsors right off the bat. We want to thank Watkins Heating and Cooling for all they do, not only for us, but for high school sports all throughout the state of Alabama, as they bring as the presenting sponsor each and every week of the Road to the Blue Map. And then also Countertop Creations, what they do as well as Watkins Heating and Cooling is tremendous, what they do for the state of Alabama, these student athletes. Countertop Creations will be bringing you the game breakdowns. Watkins Heating and Cooling is our presenting sponsor. And today we have a very special guest in-house, and we're going to introduce him and start the show off. His name's Vlad Valasuk. He is the owner, creator of Bama Preps, which is the #1 Instagram page in the state of Alabama for high school sports. Vlad, it's good to have you on, buddy.
Absolutely, Bo. Thank you.
Now, you played at Thompson under Coach Freeman and some of the best high school football teams that's ever been here in the state of Alabama. But where did your love for football come about? Was it there, or was it maybe before then, or where did that all come about?
Well, it starts all the way back to when I moved to America. It was about 2.5, and we came all the way from Brest, Belarus, former Soviet Union. My mom didn't know anything about football, and I immediately fell in love. I remember sitting on the top of the couch watching the 2011 Sugar Bowl between Alabama and LSU, and that was sort of the core memories. And later on in my life, I moved to Oak Mountain High School and started playing football in 4th grade. And from there, I was hooked. You're telling me I get to hit people, and have fun.
Legally.
I remember when my mom signed me up for YMCA soccer. The coach told me to put my hands in my pockets because I was hitting people, and that's when I knew football was for me. So after that, it's always been a love for the game. And later on, I sort of realized, I'm 5'11", 220. A dream of the NFL is probably not going to happen, though, right? So I sort of had to shift gears, and one thing that I always like doing is, creating content, whether it's through video form, photo form, just that kind of stuff, and incorporating it to really make a good sound final product, and that turned into Bama Preps. My love for this has really grown, and trying to make it something that's profitable and trying to make it something that can impact, a lot of people's lives. And you got to be really distinct about that, because you're also, I'm not here claiming to get kids recruited. And there's a big difference between that. What I'm doing is I'm trying to push the game forward through these schools, through these coaches, telling these stories, and, sort of weaving a narrative throughout the season, just like, what you do with all your coaches shows and everything. And I think we've done very well, obviously, on Instagram, and, there's always room to grow.
When I seen your content, it kind of jumps off the page. The quality's really good. And I can look at a post out of 1,000 posts, and I can know it's you. You got kind of a signature look to your post, and it's really doing really good. You actually featured Mason Mims recently from right here in Oxford, Alabama. Right. But you were doing stuff at Thompson High School, content creation, and helping out with the Warrior Network then.
Yes.
What kind of led you into that?
Yeah, so it was middle of my freshman year. I wasn't on varsity at the time. I was still on the freshman team. And it sort of came out of nowhere. I saw, I think Alabama football fan pages do this, ones that cover the games, what the game times are, what the stories are. And, it's something that you really see in traditional media, but it was really starting to become popular on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook, as you know. And these pages would pop up with game updates, and I'm saying, hey, I can do that for my high school. And I created the page. I didn't really let any of them know. I just kind of did it. We called it Warrior Nation Football, and it sort of spurned from there. And I remember it was, I believe, middle of my junior year. I got called into our athletic director's office, and I thought that it was it. The dream was over. He was going to tell me to shut it down because they found out that I did it. And he said, hey, we love what you're doing. Keep doing it. And
That'd be a relief.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a scary sight when you got to walk in there and you have no idea what it is. Just like walking into a coach's office after you know you messed up, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it turned out to be, really beneficial for me. And, I gained a lot of experience on, what algorithms are and what it takes to create a successful product with a cohesive brand identity. And like you said, we carry that over into Bama Preps now with a distinct look and a distinct quality to all of our products.
Yeah, you do a fantastic job. And Chandler, you got to meet this young man and was very pleased with him back when we were at the Gadsden City 7-on-7. What were your initial thoughts on him?
Just work ethic, and relationship building. This business is all about building relationships. It's kind of just like coaching.
Yeah.
Like you build relationships, you bridge those relationships, and so anytime you can work together with Bama Preps or with Average Joe's, it's a big deal for us, especially with Primetime and TV 24.
100%. A few more questions before we let you get out of here. Again, we're talking to Vlad Valisuc of Bama Preps. If you have not followed his Instagram page, please do so right now. Go to Instagram, just put in Bama Preps. It will pop up. He's very prevalent throughout the state of Alabama and the Southeast now because of the network he's grown. And you're averaging over 400,000 people reached in a 28-day period or so on Instagram. Did you ever envision that when you started Bama Preps?
No, that's a short answer. No, I had no idea. To me, it was an 80 follower page. It was a 100 follower page for longer than it's been what it is now. And you have to lay a lot of groundwork. And honestly, I didn't really start even talking to coaches until about a year ago. It was very much an outside looking in perspective. I would very much go onto websites and look at statistics and look at players and teams and rankings. And it wasn't until I was able to gain a greater knowledge into the sport and into these coaching staffs and their thought processes. And that comes from Coach Freeman at Thompson, where I graduated from. They were the first ones that let me film, take photos, film their practices and do their graphics and everything. And
that's a good place to start, by the way. Great place to start, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. We weren't down in Fruitdale. We were in Thompson High School, right?
That was the top dog in the yard.
Absolutely. And I'm blessed to have that opportunity. And it really spurned from there. I didn't expect it to grow what it is now, but we're here. What am I going to do? Stop?
You being around a Trey Clark, a Mark Freeman, even Coach Gaines was there, I'm sure, when you were there playing.
3 years with me.
Yeah, so when you're around guys like that, those type guys are not normal guys. Those guys have an aura about them. Those guys have something about them that draws you in. It makes you feel like part of a team. It also motivates you. You can talk to Coach Freeman or you can talk to Trey Clark about workouts, running, endurance running, or something like that. It don't matter what it is, they're going to fire you up. They cast out this different aura than a normal human. Have you been able to harness some of that in being around these guys every single day of your life for years?
Yeah, I'm cheesing right now because you're right. It's and now being able to go to other schools now that I'm not in that Thompson bubble, and I get to go to other 7As, 6As, 5As, and it's different.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference. There's a difference in the way that you practice. There's a difference in the way that you walk around the facility. Everything is done with a purpose. And for me, being in that, it's hard to not take anything away from it. I think it's something that affects every kid in the program. And if it doesn't affect you, you're trying for it not to.
That's right.
You're actively going against
it's infectious.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I was, that I've become Mark Freeman or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I did take away a lot of stuff from it. And just my biggest thing to me was just a commitment to my product, the same way that it is for Coach Freeman, and a commitment to excellence with his football team. I'm not going to put something out that I'm not proud of.
Correct.
And that's the same thing goes for them. And there's a lot of things that match up with what I do and what I learned at Thompson.
100%. And we got about 2 minutes here, and then I'm going to let you get on the road. You got to get back to Alabaster, Alabama. But man, what you're doing is phenomenal. We're obviously anytime you need anything from Vlad, you can just contact us here at Average Joe's, TV24, Primetime Sports as well. We're going to be working together in some facet, maybe here in the future, hopefully, to help bring more, eyeballs to your product, our product, and when we work together, we get a lot of teamwork done and get a lot more coverage for these schools. Before we get out of here, just got about a minute or so here. Talk about Bama Preps, where people can find you, and look. I'm telling you, if you haven't been there, you're going to be shocked when you go there at the quality. And believe it or not, this is what's crazy about this whole thing. This young man is not even 20 years old yet. He is 19 years old, and he's built this brand that fast. But go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. But yeah, I feel like this is my final word in a campaign speech a little bit. But yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Bama Preps, just like it is on my shirt here. On Twitter, it's Bama Preps FB. On YouTube, it's at Bama Preps. We have a TikTok. We don't really use it. But the main three are going to be Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, and Instagram's where we've been on the most. So
that's correct.
There.
Up to 400,000 on average per month. That's incredible on Instagram.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. We're not even near that on our Instagram, and I thought we were doing good, but we're not in his league. So, Vlad, I know Chandler.
Hey, thanks for
you've
sitting
enjoyed
down.
us.
Absolutely. No
I
problem.
appreciate you. Safe travels back to Alabaster, Alabama. This will not be the first time you're on the show. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We're
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Road to the Blue Mountain.
May not believe it, but it's true. The 2024 Team 1 Chevys are here. All 23-24 Silverado light duties have 2.9% financing for 72 months. The hottest new 24 Team 1 Chevy Blazer, 1.9% financing and no payments till April. And the #1 selling family vehicle, the Equinox, 24 models. You got it. 1.9% financing and no payments till April. Team 1 Chevrolet, home of the best people, the best service, period.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eli Gold, and I want to invite you to tune in to Jack State Live, a look at the campus and athletic department at Jack State, followed by the Coach Rich Rod Show, where we will break down and preview the next football game for the Gamecocks.
What can you buy for $10? A hat? A milkshake? 166 channels plus live sports? That's right, for only $10 you can get 166 channels of classic TV shows and movies, including the latest news update from all around the world and local sports. Just simply go to 24ctn.com and click download, and then for only $10 you can have access to the best TV available. At Southern States Bank, we pride ourselves on being your bank. We're your neighbors and involved in the community. We're the bank featuring the Southern Rewards checking account, a cashback account with no ATM fees. We are on the cutting edge and always have a smiling face to help you out. So come to Southern States Bank, where we are committed to great service and being a great neighbor. Let us be the bank for you and your business.
We are back with Road to the Blue Map, and we have the legendary Alan Beckett back joining us right now. Coach Beckett, you've been at the doctor today. Did you have a good time over at the doctor's office?
A little epidural.
Was you expecting?
Needle. It was twins, but long needle and didn't pass out. That was the key takeaway.
Do you feel better after the epidural?
Hey, you play injured sometimes just during the season. Coach Chandler can attest. You either it's either injury or you playing with pain, and sometimes you got to push through it.
You just got to push through it, don't you, Beckett?
Yes, sir.
No excuses.
No excuses.
You knew it was game day today, so here we go.
The good thing is you're going to feel a lot better.
I will feel better eventually.
Not
Get
right
ready to
now,
roll.
but you will.
All right, guys, here we go. It's time to start breaking these games down. Was glad to have Vlad in from Bama Preps, and again, go follow him at Bama Preps on Instagram. He does a phenomenal job, and it is time to break down some games. Are you ready to roll?
I'm ready.
Coach, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do this. Let's start off in 1A. We're going to start in 1A. We're going to bounce around a little bit today, but we're going to start off in 1A Region 6, and we got right here in our backyard the Donahoe team right now who's desperately looking for a win. They're 1-2 on the year, but this is a Wadley team they're about to play that it's not going to be an easy one. The heavy underdogs this week, so to speak, according to AHS, FHS. But when you look at this game, what do you see, Coach?
Well, Wadley is a 35-point favorite. Wadley has the Wilkes kid and Frisco Robertson, who proved to be a matchup nightmare for anybody they play. Wadley beat Fayetteville 61-14 last Thursday night. Donahoe was defeated by Pleasant Valley 12-2 last Friday night. And so Wadley comes in with a record of 3-0. They've scored 157 points this year. They've only given up 35. They're 1-0 in the region. And so Donahoe comes in at 1-2. Big win over Raglan a few weeks ago. They're scoring 68 points a game, averaging giving up about 25 points a game, though, so that's got to get better. Kai Kleckler, Beef Johnson, and Hayes Farrell will have to play well for them to stay in the ball game. This is a big-time overmatched type game. But Donahoe, I know Bill Smith. He's going to have his guys ready to play. They're going to prepare like they have a chance to win the ball game. Wadley has a chance to be the favorite in Region 6 and one of the better teams in Class 1A. Donahoe's going to be fighting for a playoff spot. So this is a big game for both of them. Like I said, it looks like on paper, it looks like Wadley's a lot better, but that's why you play the game.
Oh, 100%. I agree with that. Beckett, I'm going to kick this one over to you. Let's talk about Galesville right now. Galesville is going to be playing Appalachian, and if you're Appalachian after last week when you were up 14-0 on Locust 4, albeit Dino Embry did not play, but I don't care. They still got a ton of dudes. You're up 14-0. and hang on in a very close game and a loss to Locust Fork, you got to be feeling good about yourself. They're 2-1. Galesville's 2-1. It's a 3-point line in this game in 1A Region 8. Beckett, talk to us about
All
this.
right, you know, if you're playing with, if you're playing with a top 10 3A team like Locust Fork, which is more than one player, they're pretty solid top to bottom. Huge sign for Appalachian, knowing that if they stay healthy, last year they got banged up down the stretch. If they stay healthy, they could make some noise, be a playoff team. On the other side, Galesville. Alex Beatty continued his 100-plus yards. He had 20 carries, 119 yards, a touchdown. Then you went on and they had 146 as a team and 39 passes and 185 overall. They're going to have to do even more than that. They're going to have to control the clock, shorten the game a little bit against a really good Appalachian. But at the same time, Galesville played with Valley Head, who is definitely a top 10, one of your picks to come out of the North. I mean, actually out of the North. So good sign for Galesville. I think you're going to have a really strong showdown for the top part of the region.
All right, let's kick this thing back up to 1A Region 7 right fast. And we got Cherokee versus Addison. 2-2-1 teams. Addison actually, is minus 11 in this one. Talk to us about this game.
Addison's favored. Both of them are 2-1, but Addison has scored 100 points so far in the season. They've given up 68 points, whereas Cherokee has scored 68 points and given up 63. So it's going to be a good matchup. It's a matchup that both of these teams desperately need. On paper, Addison is considered to be better, but once again, it's a game where the matchups kind of see what kind of matchup. Sometimes it looks like the matchup's going to favor somebody else, where they can stop speed or they can stop the ground game, or they can't stand up against a bigger opponent. So when you look at these games, it's not about what you've done so far. It's about matchups within the game. There's times where we rolled into a game where we're playing a team that's average scoring 40 points a game and averaged only giving up 14 points a game. But you had to look at who they played in weeks prior. So a lot of that's going to be, can Cherokee stop this potent offense from Addison, or does Addison keep rolling offensively? That's going to be the storyline of the game.
100%. I want each one of you guys to break this next one down. We're going to talk about Ider and Valley Head. Valley Head coming off a 311-yard rushing game last week and for three touchdowns. But when you look at Valley Head, and you talked about this yourself, Beckett, they're 3-0. They're rolling. They're 20-point favorite over an 0-3 Ider. What has Coach Grant and them got to do to slow this Valley Head team down a little bit?
Well, anytime you're that kind of underdog, you're going to have to win. You're going to have to get some turnovers, some good things. You're going to have some prolific plays and some straight-up breakdowns by the other side. Then as momentum rolls your way a little bit, you're going to have to be able to handle that, and you got to be prepared to be in that situation. They need something good to happen to them. On the other side, Valley Head, you just talked about 311 yards, four-headed monster, 45 carries between Bain and Tylen and Johnson and Micah Rath, and those guys are toting the mail. Things are going really good. Only threw the ball 3 times. They don't have to. That's just not who they are. But they're so physical. They're really physical 1A team. They play 27 players, which in 1A is a huge number. Brian Knapp from Galesville was talking last week. He said, we're in the game. He said, but they just wore us down with numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on it?
Ider's 0-3. They lost 20-6 to Section, 42-0 against North Sand Mountain, 26-0 versus Woodville. They've only scored 6 points all year. They were averaging scoring 2 points a game, and they're averaging giving up almost 30.
Tyler Dalton is having a heart attack hearing this right now, but go ahead.
Sorry. And then you've got to play an opponent who is 3-0. Who is averaging almost 33 points a game and only averaging giving up 11. So it's a tall task for Ider coming in at 0-3 going against a 3-0 team. And in Valley Head, I thought Valley Head had a really good win against Galesville last week. I thought that was a huge win for them, 28-14. And like Coach said, that was a close game. I think it might have been 14-14 at one time. And just Valley Head was able to pull away late, but 3-0, like I said, averaging 33 points a game, only averaging giving up 11. So Ider's going to have to make some adjustments. They got to figure out a way to hold on to the football, help their defense out. They got to figure out a way to get points on the board. And so, like Donahoe last week, Donahoe was inside the 5 2 or 3 times and couldn't score a single touchdown. Is Eider the same way? Have they been driving the football, but they can't cash in when they get into the red zone, when they get into the green zone? Are they turning the ball over? So they've got to figure out ways to take care of the football, hold on to the football, get first downs, and figure out ways to get points. If you don't do that, it's going to be a tough night for them against Valley Head.
100%. Stay right here in 1A Region 8. We're going to talk about Ragland and Southeastern. And, Coach, I got to see Southeastern up close and personal versus Coosa. Played Coosa pretty tough for the first quarter, even up to half, and then kind of Coosa flipped the switch and took off in that one. Ragland sitting here at 0-2, Southeastern sitting here at 0-3. Each one of you guys can talk about this one. Somebody's going to get a win in this football game.
Yeah, and I think it's really big. Southeastern has, coming off of 2 really good seasons, their guys have seen more recently. They've seen winning. They play really good opponents. Let's see if the culture of the last couple years gives them a chance. Ragland, on the other hand, again, has played with some people. Really big for somebody to get a win and have a chance to get in that region race and get a chance to get into playoffs.
Yeah, they're both 0-3. And with Southeastern, they've played up in classification against Glencoe. And was in that game for a while. They've played Vinemont, who's 2-1, and they played one of the better Class 2A teams that beat a Class 6A team in Coosa Christian. So when you look at their numbers, they're kind of skewed a little bit because of who they've played. They're only averaging 9 points a game. They're averaging giving up almost 32 points a game, whereas Ragland is 0-2. They played Donahoe and lost 38-19, and then they lost to a really good Spring Garden team who's 3-0, 47-21. So neither one of these teams have played an easy schedule up to this point. But here's the thing about it. Ragland is averaging 20 points a game, but they're also averaging giving up 42.5. So which one of these teams can improve defensively, can score more points, which is obviously the name of the game. Yeah. But they're struggling right now, but also their schedule has not been real favorable for them.
That's correct.
And so which team can go out there, play the hardest, and get most of these teams desperately need a win.
Hey, and kudos to those kids who stuck it out there, because when they heard the rumors that they may close, people sort of jumping ship.
We've already got on that last week. Yeah. Like, why would you even put that out there when it's 2028?
That's
like,
correct.
why would you even put that out there for the kids to hear? Kids have enough to worry about. Like, with everything going on in their life right now, they have enough to worry about anyway. I can tell you this, Ragland kids are always going to play hard. They're always going to play a physical brand of football. They're always going to show up, and you're never just going to go roll over them because they're not going to try. They're going to go out there and play as hard as they possibly can. I'm intrigued by this matchup. Like I said, both of them desperately need a win. Both of them have played really good opponents so far, so I think that should be a really good matchup this Friday night.
I'll go further. Kudos to kids on 0-3 teams or teams that hadn't won for continue to play. Not laying down, not being front runners, and
You're right.
Later on in life, sometimes things will get tough. Are you going to lay down, or are you going to keep playing?
A lot of times you'll see those kids flipping around. They'll be the CEOs of these places.
Yeah, that's the thing that always ticked me off when I was a head coach. Like, obviously at White Plains, things didn't go our way. But, like, people wasn't showing up Monday through Thursday. They wasn't showing up on Sunday afternoon to see how hard our coaches worked. They wasn't showing up to see how hard our kids worked. And everybody wants to talk about the good teams, and that's great. That's how it should be. I mean, that's part of it. But these kids that continue to show up day after day, they take their lunch pail, they continue to clock in at practice and continue to work their tail off when it's 97 degrees outside, even though they're 0-3. Like, that's what it's all about. Life is going to hit you in the mouth one day. Are you going to stay in the corner and get your teeth kicked in, or are you going to continue to show up and fight?
Exactly.
Ones that don't lay down will have a good life.
You got that right. All right, we're going to move this thing over to Spring Garden versus Woodville. Spring Garden, I got to sit in today with Coach Ragsdale doing his coach's show and talked about his team. And I said, Coach, y'all, you just, I can see it in his eyes. He looks more comfortable right now. The kids are a second year in his system. Very similar system that was there with Coach Howard, but it's his. So they're a year more comfortable. He looks more comfortable coaching. The kids seem to be more comfortable in the system, and it's showing on the field. They're 3-0 right now, and both of you guys, this is a split game. Both of you guys have different parts of the state are out here, or different counties, but y'all can both talk about this one. They're taking on Woodville, who's 1-2. They're 3-0. You want to kick us off on this one?
Well, here's the thing. Like you talked about, it's his system now.
Yep.
No matter if he's been there before or not, when something goes wrong, people are going to second guess and say, well, Coach Howard would have done it this way.
Correct.
I've been there, experienced that. Like, you've got to get your system in. You got to believe in what you're doing. You can't listen to all the outside noise. But obviously it's working. They're 3-0 right now.
Correct.
Spring Garden is 3-0. they've averaged scoring almost 41 points a game, averaging only giving up 13, and a lot of this probably been in what we call trash time when they're trying to get younger kids in, not get people injured, all that stuff, which is great for the future, because if you can get, there's nothing like Friday night action. So when you can be up big in games and get those younger guys in, that's great. They've got wins over Sandrock 41-7, and Sandrock is a 2-1 Sandrock team that's
much improved.
very
Coach Heath.
improved. Coach Heath has done a good job there. He's a great man. They got a win over Pleasant Valley, which is 2-1, 34-12, and they beat Raglan last week 47-21. And so you look at what's going on. He looks more comfortable. When I go back and edit the coaches' shows, you can look at it and tell like he's more comfortable in what he's doing. He's got a lot more confidence. His kids believe in what they're doing. You're not going to keep a place like Spring Garden down for long. Like you either farm or you play football or you play sports there.
right.
And so those guys chose to play sports.
They got an option.
And so they got an option. There's not a whole lot of options. So, and it's not like some of these bigger schools where you can go do all this other stuff. You either going to work or you going to play sports. And so I look for this to be on the what I'm looking at. The website I'm looking at does not give them much of a chance.
Right. We're talking about Woodville,
much of a chance to beat Spring Garden.
Beckett, I'm going to throw this at you from a different angle. When everybody starts patting you on your back and they're saying, hey, y'all are doing great, you've arrived, and all that, that's a whole nother set of problems, and you're a 21-point favorite in a game. Let's talk about it from that angle.
Well, success brings its own set of problems because they're, again, those same people that are putting a halo above you will put a noose when it goes bad, and you got to be able to handle it both ways.
That's right.
You know, and same thing goes. You know, and I know Jason Howard from before. He would push them like they were the record was they were 0-10 rather than 10-0, and he did a great job with that. And this is beginning to look like Spring Garden of recent, and I have full belief that Coach will continue to push that. 15 carries, Connor Bates, 100 yards. You know, had 8 guys touch the ball. John Welch threw for 117 yards. Balls going all over the yard. Really doing some good things offensively. Starting to look like Spring Garden.
Okay. They are starting to look like Spring Garden low. We're going to dip our toe into 2A, and then we're going to jump up to 7 and work our way back down. But let's go ahead and start with 2A right here. Coach, this is going to be one of yours to break down. Falkville is 1-1 on the season. They're heading to 2-1 Coosa Christian. I got to see them up close and personal. This line is a little bit closer than I would think the experts would think it is. It's a 7-point line. Talk to me about this Coosa Christian Falkville game.
All right, you know, one thing for sure that Coosa Christian is doing that really jumps out to me is defensively. I think this is a really strong defensive unit. They only allowed 166 yards rushing and 59 passing, 3 for 6 last week against Southeastern. 0 for 4 on fourth down and caused a fumble. So defensively, it is the statistic that kind of jumps out. Wilson. 15 carries, 72 yards. Terry, 64 yards. And balls are distributed all over the place. And obviously, they got the great trigger man in Justice leading things. Falkville, big win last week. To them, they're battling for their lives to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, Falkville, that's going to be a tall task to go over there and play Coosa, because that's going to be a very, very tall task for them to
Coosa
do.
has given up 55 points all year, and 41 of them came in their opening loss to Pierce County, which is 3-0 now.
Got about 1,300 students to Coosa's 150.
Yeah, no doubt. It looks like that Pierce County is going to be rolling even in Class 3A in their division. They held Pell City, 6A Pell City to 7 points, and then last week beat Southeastern soundly 42-7. Whereas Falkville is coming in 1-2, but they have a close loss to a 2-1 Vinemont team, 16-14, and then they shut out West End last week 42-0. So I think that there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunities for Falkville. They've got, like I said, when you're playing a superior opponent, which I don't feel like I'm hurting anybody's feelings by saying that. I think Coosa is going to be superior to everybody else on their schedule. You got to take care of the football. You got to wrap up. You can't give up the big plays. Make them snap the ball again. At the end of the day, these guys are still 15 to 18-year-olds at the oldest, and they are capable of making mistakes if you will make them keep snapping the football.
100%. We got about one more minute to break this one down. I agree with you 100% on that one. Let's talk about Susan Moore, who's 1-2 versus an 0-3 West End, and this is a rivalry game, and that one's going to have a big gate. Coach, what do we got to see from Matt Harris and company to get off the snide and get their first victory of the season?
Yeah, Coach Harris talked to him. He was really upset, really disappointed. Offensively, they didn't have a very good game. Rushed 18 times for 23 yards. Obviously, Faultville, credit to them for shutting them down, and at the same time, that's not going to win you football games. So, he was up front. They got to move the ball. Jackson Hamby had really, had 180 yards on the season and 2 touchdowns. He was 15 of 39, 293 yards, and just really got shut down. They've got to move the football and got to put points on the board. It's been their key lead so far.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come right back with more Road to the Blue Map.
May not believe it, but it's true. The 2024 Team 1 Chevys are here. All 23-24 Silverado light duties have 2.9% financing for 72 months. The hottest new 24 Team 1 Chevy Blazer, 1.9% financing and no payments till April. And the #1 selling family vehicle, the Equinox. 24 models. You got it. 1.9% financing and no payments till April. Team 1 Chevrolet, home of the best people, the best service, period.
Hey everybody, I'm Larry May. I've been in the entertainment business for over 25 years. I've written for the local paper. I've interviewed a lot of touring artists and local artists here. And what I figured out is how much talent we have here in Alabama. That's why we put a new show together for you called Entertainment Alabama. Come watch us for the hottest new acts and some of your favorites that are national touring artists.
Come out and check out the Alabama Tractor Difference. We can take care of all your needs of parts, sales, and service for RTVs, zero turns, and tractors and construction equipment. See us here in Lincoln at 620 Speedway Industrial Drive. Or come visit us here in Asheville at 275 6th Avenue, or give us a call at 205-594-7000.
At Bentley Prosthetic and Medical Supply, we care about you. We offer custom prosthetics, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and durable medical supplies. We're located here in Alexandria, Alabama, where it's a country feel, but professional care. Come see us today.
And we are back with Road to the Blue Map, and we're sitting here in 2A Region 7. We're going to break down Cedar Bluff, who's 1-2, taking on North Sand Mountain. North Sand Mountain's more than a 2-touchdown favorite in this one. Coach Beckett, take it away.
Well, first off, talking to North Sand Mountain coaches this week, they were really upset and really disappointed in their loss last week, and they were trying to rally the troops to turn around and get back. Knew it was a big region win, and on the other hand, big win for 28-22 win for Cedar Bluff. Had to fill in for Hunter Jenkins and Hunter Stallings. Bryson Teague, first-year player, stepped in at quarterback, found a way to get it done. So kudos to Cedar Bluff for getting that win.
All right, we're going to kick this one over to Chandler. Chandler, this is an interesting matchup, and it's from a Calhoun County team versus a Jackson team. Pisgah, who seems like they can do no wrong at this point in time. They're 2-0, rolling. Pleasant Valley and Coach Nix, who's 2-1 on the season. Pretty big spread on this one, but talk to us about this game. A little intriguing matchup right here.
Yeah, Pisgah is 2-0. Obviously, the big win over Fife a couple weeks ago, and then a big win over Section last week, 55-14. So they're rolling. In my opinion, they have one of my favorite players after hearing you talk about him and seeing how he played against Fife and just battling cramps and just being a warrior. And man, that's what high school football is all about. Luke Gilbert, that's what I love about high school football. And then you look at Pleasant Valley, they're 2-1. Beat West End 28-12. They lost to Spring Garden 34-12 in a non-region game, and then they beat Donahoe last week 12-2 in a non-region game. So 2-1 coming in, but Pleasant Valley's stepping up big time. Like Braxton Salster, Braden Papa, those two guys have got to play really well. And I know I keep saying this, but Pisgah is one of the better teams in Class 2A.
Yeah.
It's the favorite to win that region. In order to have a chance to win this ball game, you got to slow down the game. You got to keep it away from their offense. You got to take care of the football. You got to get first downs. It can't be big shot plays all the time. You've got to be good with 3.5, 4 yards and keep getting first downs, because your offense has got to be your best defense. Because even though you played really well defensively last week against Donahoe, you're taking a step up a notch. Like Pisgah is a different level team. They're a different animal. But also, I think when you go into these games, and I've coached in some of these games, Coach Nix has got to get his guys believing that they can play in this game. Like, you can't go into the game with the attitude of, hey, we're playing Pisgah, we might as well roll over. And I don't think they're going to do that. I think Coach Nix does a great job at Pleasant Valley, and they're going to play really tough defensively. They've proved that all year. I think that they've got to, like I said, take care of the football, cut out on some of the penalties. Talking to some people from Pleasant Valley, there were some penalties on both sides last week that kind of killed drives or helped drives or whatever. They've got to cut down on some of the penalties that don't have to happen. Look, listen, you're going to have a hold. You watch college football on Saturdays and see even the best of the best still hold. You're going to have things that happen. You're going to have a pass interference, but you can't have the penalties after the whistle. You can't shoot yourself in the foot and give a good team more opportunities.
They don't need no help.
They don't need no help. And so I think you got two really good quarterbacks in Luke Gilbert and Braxton Salster. I think two really good athletes there. It's an intriguing matchup. It's going to be really tough on Pleasant Valley, but that's why you play the game.
100%.
If you play the game, you have an opportunity to win. If you don't believe me, ask Notre Dame, ask Auburn. Like, when you play the game, there's things that can happen, and that's why you play the game. Games are not won or lost on paper, and so you can count Pleasant Valley out all you want to, but you have to play the game. Pisgah's going to be a very formidable opponent. They're a very good football team, but you play the game for a reason.
100%. Coach, Gaston and Woodland. Interesting game here. You know, Woodland just a couple of years ago was absolutely rolling. They taking a step back a little bit. They're 0-3 this season. Gaston is 1-1. It's only a 5-point line on that game. Coach, what do you see in this?
This would be a big opportunity for Gaston to, just to get some confidence. Is, when you have that kind of run, 7-year run that they've gone through after being a really proud, really good program. Wins would be very important, and they made a comeback, played in the ball game, did some good things with the Clayett at quarterback. So they need this game. They need something good to happen.
Coach, keep it right here. We're going to talk about Section and Sandrock, and both of you guys can talk about this game right here, because this is counties that both of you guys break down. Section 1-2 on the season, Sandrock 2-1. Coach Heath and company's a 9-point favorite. Kick us off, Becky.
All right. Well, Kane Robinson was held to 70 yards on 16 carries last week. Same time, you had Robinson, Cox, Lindsay, Ashley, Cunningham. You had a lot of people touching the ball from Sandrock. Talking to Alan Heath this week, he said, "Hey, we're boring. We're boring compared to when I was at Mumford, and we're boring compared to a couple years ago when we were at Sandrock." And I said, "Hey, man, you're winning ball games. You're getting Sandrock back where Sandrock was, whatever it takes. Whatever is necessary." So they're a blue collar, very much of a blue collar team, and find a way to win ball games. And this would be yet another one, a chance against Section to get a win.
Absolutely.
And against with Section, looking at them, like, they beat Ider, and then they've played really two good opponents since then. They played Valley Head, lost 35-6, and played Pisgah and lost 55-14. The so-called experts are not giving them much of a chance to win against Sandrock, but Sandrock, man, like he said, going back to Sandrock, Alan Heath has done an exceptional job. Kane Robinson last week was held to 70 yards, but they still found a way to win. And when you're trying to get a program back to where it used to be at, you don't care how pretty it is. You just want to find ways to win. I think Section is going to be a good opponent. I think this is going to be a really good game. I think Section's numbers and their schedule have made them look like they're not as good of a football team as what they actually are. I look for this to be a really close and a really good football game Friday night.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think he's close to turning the corner. They're playing people at least for a half and 3 quarters, and again, turning the program around. Raymond Matherly, 8 tackles. Skylar Gray, 8 tackles. Cooper Williams, 9 tackles. Section eventually is going to bust through, and they're going to beat somebody they're not supposed to.
Yeah, like when you're, like we talked about it a little bit earlier, when you're trying to turn a program around, That's the most difficult thing to do. Like, it's easy to walk in and ride the donkey that somebody else has already got there.
That
it's hard to
signature
go into
win.
a approach.
That's when you turn that corner the first time and you see that look, we can do it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
No doubt about it.
All right, we're going to jump up to 7A and work our way back down through 6. So if you guys prepare for that. The only 7A team we have in this portion of the state that we're covering right now is Albertville. Albertville's not started out so good so far. They're 0-3, but the good news is they're playing a Sparkman team that's 0-3. The bad news is they're heavy underdogs again this week, and they're having trouble scoring points. When you look at this game, Coach, what do you see?
Well, couple things. They just got to keep on keeping on. They're doing some really good things offensively. I mean, you look at their yardage and the amount of passes they're completing, and CJ Zungia, 32 attempts, 18 completions, 220 yards. Hey, look, they're moving the football, and you got several receivers catching the ball. Jakari Kirkland, 8 catches. So keep on keeping on. And again, have that big game. If they're and they've got a really good staff. If they can stop some people offensively, I think they're going to put up some big numbers.
You talked about it. They're moving the football, but they only have 7 points to show for it on the year. They're only averaging 2.3 points a game.
Another red zone team.
And here's the thing: they are playing an 0-3 Sparkman team, but Sparkman has played Spain Park so far. They've played Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, and they've played Austin. They got beat by Austin 31-30 in overtime. So they played well last week, even though they didn't get nothing in the win column for it. But, I mean, you can't take much from the first 2 opponents they played. We think Hillcrest Tuscaloosa is a really good team, and we think Spain Park's a really good team. You can't take anything away from that. And then last week they got some confidence, even though they didn't get in the win column. And so going into it, we kind of knew Albertville had an uphill climb. Like, it's one of those things, like you said, getting that win, figuring out a way to get a win, seeing it in their eyes. And so it's going to be another tough matchup for Albertville. But like I said, they're going to keep showing up. They're going to keep playing. And eventually things are going to eventually go their way.
We're going to move it over to 6A Region 6 this time. And I just left this location. We just left Oxford, talked to Mason Mims, talked to Coach Sam Adams, Shay Monroe as well, Coach Cochran as well. We got to talk to all the guys at Oxford earlier. Glad I stopped by there. They're a 15-point favorite. They're 3-0. They've been in some battles this year, Chandler. They're playing a once-proud Pinson Valley team that seems to have fallen off and taken 2 steps back over the last couple of years. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, Pinson Valley is not where they once were, but you got to look at also who they've played. They've played Central Phoenix City, who is one of the better teams in the entire state, and lost 61-14. And then they lost in it's kind of a surprising game because Gardendale's down 42-16, but then they turn around last week, get some confidence, beat Huffman 34-0 last week. Oxford is a heavy favorite. Mason Mims has looked the part the entire year. The defense has really made some adjustments at halftime in every game and looked a lot better after they came out from half. They've gotten better special teams wise, even had a kickoff return for a touchdown last week. But it's kind of the same situation for Oxford as it was last week. Do you walk into the game thinking the game's won, or do you walk in knowing that on any given night anybody can beat me? Because last week they walked in and it was ball control by Shades Valley, and at half Oxford found themselves in a 14-14 tie. Now they ended up pulling away and beating Shades Valley 45-21 in the second half, which is what good teams should do. But do they walk in this week thinking, hey, we're better than Pinson Valley, we deserve to win? Because if they do that, it's going to be bad. And then another thing, and coaches don't like to talk about this, but they have homecoming this week. And as a head coach, it's great for the school, it's great for the kids, it's great for all that. But when your kids are all running around having junior, senior wars all week and telepapering everybody's house at midnight and doing all this stuff and taking opportunities to get in trouble or get hurt or whatever, that always is in the back of your mind as a head coach. And he won't say that because, I mean, you want your kids to have fun. You want them to have fun from 8 to 3 while they're at school. We actually talked about that today a little bit on the coaches show. But when it comes 3 o'clock and after, man, it's work time. It's time to prepare. It's time to get ready. It's time to have good practices. But there's so many teams that lose games on homecoming that they shouldn't lose because of all the distractions that goes into it.
If I can piggyback off of that, because I'm retired, so I can say whatever. I had a principal one time tell her kids, she said, I don't care what you do, win-lose-wise, I need this homecoming to go right. Well, that's tough on a kid, and he's torn.
Some
and I
people
said to her,
have that mindset.
with all due respect, in 20, 30, 40 years, they're not going to remember much about the floats, but they're going to remember that ball game.
Yeah, to
You're
me,
exactly right.
to me, homecoming's not homecoming unless you win. If you lose on homecoming,
It doesn't exist
yeah, I
without
mean,
the game.
but that, that's kind of changed a little bit, and people don't think the same way as I do. But if you don't win, like, homecoming is a disaster.
I agree with you. Beckett, this one's yours, buddy. Southside Panthers. Interesting game. Coach Stewart got his first win last week versus Lee and went on the road to do so. Now they're returning home to take on an 0-2 grumpy Fort Payne bunch. Dax Varnador hasn't gotten out to the start that he wants to start out. You know, coming into the season, you know, the expectations was through the roof for him and Fort Payne. You know, at some point it's going to click and they're going to take off. Will this be the week that happens, or does Southside, you know, hold serve at home?
Yeah, and hey, you know, I want to recognize Carter Tinker.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's 6'3", 230, linebacker outside. He's just had, you know, his numbers so far this year has been phenomenal. They're doing some really good
Coach
things.
Tinker's son at Fort Payne.
Yes, Coach Tinker's son. They have some really good pieces here and there. They've just got to put some things with it to, you know, and there again, I really, you know, I thought coming in that they've got a chance to be at the top end of their bracket, and they still may work their way to that. Got a great coaching staff. On the other side, Southside, you know, helmet sticker nominee Jamal Boyd rushed for 163 yards, 3 touchdowns on 20 carries. Javante Strong rushed for an 83-yard touchdown. Big win for Southside. Great. Hey, they're in the, you know, all this other stuff was preseason. You know, there they are sitting 1-0, and they got a chance to get in this playoff race. Big win for Southside last week. Fort Payne needs the same.
Hey. Coach Stewart didn't go home. He stayed at Thursday night. He didn't go home. He slept on the couch, broke down film till like 3 or 4 in the morning, fell asleep on the couch, got a shower, and got back up and went to work again on Friday.
Been there, done that.
I've been that guy.
Ryan Herring.
Yeah, been that guy
No doubt.
before, and it's
the thing about, if you look at Fort Payne, they start out with Scottsboro, who's 3-0. Then they played Gunnersville, who's 3-0. So their combined component is 6-0 right now. Number 1 team in Class 5A, and another team that's going to be ranked if they continue to play like they're playing, with a huge win last week over Boaz. In the rest of their games, they are favored in every game except for one, and that's Gadsden City. And so Fort Payne's schedule is about to get a lot more formidable for them. They started out really tough, but I think they get things rolling. But also, this is almost a pick'em game. But one of them teams got a 58% chance to win. The other, Southside's got a 42% chance to win. And Southside finally got things rolling last week.
According to Massey ratings, correct?
Yeah. Yep. So
that's going to be a good one. Now I'm going to kick this one over to you. The Mad Scientist. We're talking about Mountain Brook here.
Yeah.
So listen, Mountain Brook and Pell City. Now this is an interesting matchup from the standpoint, you know, if you looked at this game a year ago, the coaching matchup would have been a total different matchup than it is now. Mm-hmm. Chris Yeager is one of the smartest human beings, not just coaches, that's a head coach at Mountain Brook. So when you look at this game now, a little bit different vibe, a little bit different feel. Mountain Brook's a heavy favorite coming into this game. Tell me about this game.
Pell City is still a little bit away. I think they're playing some younger guys. I think Coach Gentry's got to get kind of his system in there. But Coach Gentry is a very intense guy. I think that they'll start playing the right way. And Mountain Brook, Coach Yeager, you talked about him already. In my opinion, he's a great head coach, but if you've ever sat down and listened to him talk about offensive line play, he is the best offensive line guy in the entire state.
Got to spend some time with him during the winter.
I'm not taking it away from anybody else, but
you feel dumb when you talk to him. His IQ is
man. Sam Adams said the same thing an hour ago. Exactly what you said.
Hey, listen, if you go and sit down, if you're a head coach and you can't hire a really good offensive line coach, you need to go sit down with Coach Yeager, because you need to learn everything there is to know about offensive line, because games are still won in the trenches. If you're not good on offensive line, defensive line, and they're going to be really good offensive line wise. Mountain Brook's a team that's always going to do things the right way. They're going to, every little detail is going to be seen by their head coaches and make sure that their players know about it. Pell City, Isaiah Smith, their running back, needs to have a really good game to keep them in it. But Pell City's another team that's had a tough schedule. I mean, they played Coosa Christian, who is a really good team. I mean, I know they're 2A, but they're super talented from top to bottom. They got a big win over Pelham, and then they had to play one of the better 6A teams in the state, and Clay Chalkborn lost 45-0 last
6A
week.
champions.
Yeah. So when you open up with that kind of schedule, things are not going to go your way. It don't get any easier for them. They need to play well against Mountain Brook. They need to have some confidence, because the next week they get Huffman, and if they can have confidence going into Huffman, they should get another win on the year. But they got to play well this week. They got to stay healthy. They got to take care of the football. They got to fix. Sometimes you go into a game, y'all, and you're not worried about the opponent. You're worried about you.
Yeah.
You've got to get better, and that's where Pell City's at right now.
No doubt. This next one, we're going to go over into 5A now, and you guys both are. There is some tremendous matchups coming up in this 5A. And both of you guys' opinions, I'm ready to hear what you guys have to say about some of these games. Beckett, I'm going to kick it to you first. We're talking about 5A Region 8 right here. We have the #1 team in the state, Guntersville. And for good reason. They're loaded top to bottom. Some of the best athletes we've seen all seasons on that Guntersville team, from the running backs to the receiving core. They're going on a tricky road trip down to Sardis, Alabama, and B.J. Brooks, who has all the experience in the world. You have the tailgating game day atmosphere there. Little unique trap place to play, so to speak. Talk to us about this Guntersville versus a Sardis matchup.
Yeah, now this is your true, we were talking rat poison last week, and that one was a mismatch. This is a true rat poison kind of game. You can't look past them. BJ and they're getting better every week. They're doing some really good things. They're so young. They're not going to do it consistently, but periodically they're going to pick somebody off. Guntersville, there's your true situation where you've got to continue to find a way to get up, and and winning has its own set of problems. Everybody's in your ear telling you how good you are. You're going to win the state. Nope, you got to take care of business every week, and we'll see what that two-headed monster does at running back if they continue to produce weekly.
All right, the next game, we're going to talk about this one. Both of you guys are going to help break this one down. This could be the game of the week in our area of the state. Me personally, I think it is. It's an undefeated Douglas team who's 2-0 taking on an undefeated Scottsboro team who's 3-0. Two different ends of the spectrum right here. You have 24 seniors at Douglas that's played a lot of football and has been used to that Coach Lyles' system now. They haven't really been tested on paper the way they've handled business the first 2 weeks. Scottsboro's right opposite of that. They've been tested any which way but loose through their 3 games. I'm going to let you kick this one off, Beckett, and then we're going to bring you in to talk about this one. This is going to be an interesting game, and all eyes in this part of the state is going to be on this game. It's a very close line as well.
All right, this is what Coach Lyles came in to do, to get this program on the big stage and have a chance to win some of the really big games. Casey Walls, 14 of 23, 296 yards, threw for four touchdowns, and ran awesome for another one. That's a helmet sticker nominee. Brody Campbell, 4 catches, 80 yards. Trey Crenshaw, 4 catches, 137. And Kenyon Watkins, 2 catches, 35 yards. Again, are they ready for the big stage? And there's just so, the only way you can be the best is to beat the best, and they're playing one of the best around in Scottsboro. And this regional race will shake out a lot this week.
Yeah, Jake Jones had a huge game last week for Scottsboro. They got a huge win over Boaz, 42-35. The question mark coming in was, the storyline going in was Scottsboro's defense versus Boaz's offense. Well, Scottsboro showed that they got an offense too. I know coming out of, there were some question marks after the North Jackson game when they only scored 14 points, but able to score 42 points last week and hold a really good Boaz team to 35. Sometimes when you play a team, it's not about how many points you give up, it's just getting the right stop at the right time.
That's right.
And that's what they were able to do. Douglas has surprised me. They've only given up 13 points all year. They've scored 83. They're averaging 42 points a game and giving up less than 7. That is a recipe for success. Now, you step up big time this week in competition. You play one of the better teams in Class 5A, a team that I feel like is on a collision course. They have 2 tough games. They have Central Clay County and Guntersville left, but those are 2 games that I'm looking forward to down the road. But you can't trip up against a very talented, very good Douglas team who's hungry to continue to get better and better.
Correct. Beckett, this one for you. 5A Region 8 matchup here. We got our good friend Kyle Roughton and Arab who come back, got their guys healthy last week, come back and they looked healthy on the field. They're 11-point favorite. They're 2-1 on the season, taking on a 1-2 Brewer. Talk to us about this one.
Man, I've been impressed with Arab, how they've dealt with some early adversity and really rallied the troop and they've done it. They haven't really missed a beat, and they are right back. Some people said they wouldn't be, but they're right back. They find themselves right back at the top of the region race.
No doubt. We're going to kick this one over to you. This is going to be 5A Region 6 right here. We got St. Clair County and Moody squaring off. And, Moody's 1-2 on the year. Nobody would have believed that, but if you look at their schedule, that's not two bad losses. They got two very good football teams.
So, on Friday night, we do our school board show from 95.1 The Mountain up in Anniston, and they do all of Jacksonville's games. So I get to hear that game almost every Friday night, or a good portion of it. And then also we tuned into Moody's live stream as well. Moody is absolutely huge on both fronts. Their quarterback.
We seen that live, didn't we?
The Johnson kid is a really good player as well. They've got a slew of running backs. They're talented. They're one of the most talented 5A teams in the entire state. And, St. Clair County 2 weeks ago went and played Catholic of Montgomery. They stepped out there a little bit to play another team that's absolutely loaded in Class 5A. And now you get to follow it up in 2 weeks. You get an off week, and then you get Moody. So a tough stretch for Coach T-Rob and St. Clair County. But St. Clair County's taking steps in the right direction as well. I think St. Clair County is a team and a location that you could look at with a young head coach that's full of energy that can keep the guys there, a team that could really be making some noise in a couple of years. But Moody is they're a different animal right now.
We got about 5 more minutes before we go to break. We're going to run through some more of these games. We're going to keep it right here in 5A Region 6. Coach, you're very familiar with Springville. I want you guys to touch on this game. Springville's taking on Alma Bryant. Alma Bryant's a 12-point favorite in this one. How do you guys see this one playing out? We'll start with you, Coach.
Yeah,
Baker.
hey, first off, I'm wondering how this game came together. That's quite a distance between travel. You kind of look.
Yeah,
you see
non-region game, 7A versus a 5A.
Yeah, and you kind of look to see how the travel will play into it. In Springville, there again, been close a couple times. Got to win early. They need something good to happen.
Yeah, Springville, I felt like they took a couple of steps forward last year. But traditionally, Springville's always been a tough place football-wise. And so they got to continue to take steps. You can't get complacent over having some success last year. You got to keep moving in the right direction. When you look at Alma Bryant is 0-2 on the year, but they lost to a good Baker team that's 3-0, 25-0, and then they lost to a really good Fairhope team that's 2-1, 17-7. So you can't really look at the record and say, well, Springville's got a really good shot to win this game because they play two really good opponents.
Yeah, for sure.
Springville's got to play really well, continue to get better, continue to take care of the football, continue to do the little things right. Whenever you take 2 steps up in classification, Alma Bryant's going to be hungry to get a win because with their schedule, they don't see many of them because of who they have to play in Class 7A and because of where they're located at. And so Springville's going to have to really play hard in order to keep themselves in this ballgame.
Right here, kicking it back to you, Coach. You're looking at Centerpoint, who's an 11-point favorite versus Jacksonville. Both teams are 2-1. George Bates has always put a good product on the field. I mean, I remember when they were in 6A and they were competing, and now that they're in 5A Region 6 right here. Talking about, what do you expect to see them versus Jacksonville right here? Because that's an interesting
coming down
matchup.
from Class 6A to Class 5A, Centerpoint was really good, a playoff team in Class 6A, and so, but in saying that, Jacksonville was also really big up front, and they have 2 really good running backs, led by Zay English. But that offensive line is as good as it's been in a long time at Jacksonville. Now, the quarterback play has got to get better, and it's going to, the more exposure and the more experience he gets. But I think that Jacksonville's run game and their defense is going to be good enough to keep them in this ballgame. Last week, they did get blanked by a really, really good Moody team because their strength is running the football, and Moody's strength defensively is not allowing people to run the football. They hadn't allowed anybody to run the football, anybody they played this year. And so I think this game is going to be closer than what the experts think. I think Jacksonville Clint Smith knows how to win. He's done it everywhere he's been. He won at Sachs. He's won at Jacksonville since he's been there. He's had to replace really good players before. They're going to figure out ways to win games without Jim Ogle, and I think Jacksonville can shock some people this Friday night. I'm not going to pick the game because I don't want to be like Beckett, but I think that Jacksonville can keep this game close and have a chance to win it.
We got about 2 more minutes here. We're going to break down another one. We're going to move this thing up to 4A Region 6 right here. And Beckett, this is going to be a game, an interesting game for you to break down right here. We're talking about Cherokee County, who's 2-1, versus an 0-2 Etowah team. You know, Etowah coming off the loss to Hoax Bluff last week. You know, Cherokee got back and does what Cherokee does ever since their opening loss to Piedmont. But this is an interesting game coming right here. I'm going to let you break this one down.
All right, you know, Etowah, first off, you know, a lot of big plays. Quarterback Jameson Sism counted for 440 yards last week in the Hoax Bluff game, rushed for 185, 18 carries, a touchdown. He's going to do his deal. He was 18 for 26, 255 yards. He's going to move the ball. Day Porter had 50 yards on 13 carries. And a touchdown. Bennett Reeves had 64 yards catching. So you know that they can move the football, but can they stop Cherokee County? Cherokee County's methodical. They're going to get behind that big line, and they're going to run the football, and they have multiple players that can run it. Really physical. So should be interesting to see what kind of. It should be, you know, and there again, Etowah's that team that they're going to eventually turn a corner. Again, I stay with it. The only variable's time. Tay Diamond, 19 carries, 124 yards. Jay-Sean Stroop, 9 carries, 113 yards. Keyshawn Woods, 67. So they have a lot of weapons there. Could be a goodie.
Hey, Carson Tittle he was 6 of 8 for 144 yards and 2 scores with a torn ACL.
Yes. Amazing.
He leaves the field and he goes and has ACL surgery yesterday.
Yep.
So, you know, prayers for him to get back healthy, and definitely want to see him back. Hopefully in a football uniform.
Man,
I think he can, but definitely in a baseball uniform.
I mean, he's had a rough shake at it, man. 2 years in a row. He's a great kid, great leader, and so prayers for him to heal quickly and recover.
We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to be right back with Road to the Blue Map.
May not believe it, but it's true. The 2024 Team 1 Chevys are here. All 23-24 Silverado light duties have 2.9% financing for 72 months. The hottest new 24 Team 1 Chevy Blazer, 1.9% financing and no payments till April. And the #1 selling family vehicle, the Equinox. 24 models. You got it. 1.9% financing and no payments till April. Team 1 Chevrolet, home of the best people, the best service, period.
At DVP Auto Group, we have a wide selection of any type of car you could want. We offer financing for all types of credit. Not only can we help you to purchase a car affordably, but we can help you with any issues you may experience with your car as well. We provide oil change, tire repair, brake service, or anything else you may need. We also gladly accept trade-ins, and if you're willing, we can help you drive away in a new car the same day. If you don't see something you like in the lot, we'll help you find one, whether you buy from us or not. Come see us today.
Hey, is your money future-proof? When I invest in a CD, Family Savings gives me a great rate, way better than my old savings account. Now, my money makes money, and I don't have to do a thing. Watching those numbers go up is really satisfying, and I can feel good about my family's future.
Open a CD at Family Savings Credit Union and get your best rate no matter the term. Family Savings Credit Union, your best financial friend.
What can you buy for $10? A hat? A milkshake? 166 channels plus live sports? That's right, for only $10 you can get 166 channels of classic TV shows and movies, including the latest news update from all around the world and local sports. Just simply go to 24ctn.com and click download, and then for only $10 you can have access to the best TV available.
All right, we are back on our road to the blue map, guys. We're all on a road to the blue map.
Absolutely.
Us, the teams, everybody. We got 30 more minutes to get this thing going and knock out these games, as well as giving out our helmet stickers this week. So I'm super excited about that. And the helmet stickers are coming. They're being made as we speak. Coach Beckett, kicking it to you right now. I sat in with Mike Robertson today, 2-0 Hoax Bluff team, had 400 yards rushing, dominant fashion, got the win last week versus Etowah and Jim Glover Field, 49-24. Looked like the old Hoax Bluff teams. Get up on somebody, play keep away, run the ball downhill, play good defense, just take control of the game, kind of squeeze the life out of you like an anaconda. That's what it was like last week. This week they're playing White Plains. Key stat in this one, Hoax Bluff's 10-0 all-time versus White Plains. Talk to us about this game, Becky.
There again, Hoax Bluff, they're getting, I mean, this thing's turning into a monster, getting better every week. Again, I lean on their defense, how many great things they're doing. Drew McCarver, 15 tackles. That is a helmet sticker nominee. Bray Davis, 7 tackles and a pick. Anderson Morgan had 6 tackles, a scoop, and a score. Alex Carter, Colton Shields, 1 sack each. Really impressive defensive group, and it is a group effort. It's not 1 or 2 guys that are standouts. It is just a lot of blue-collar guys that are packing lunches. But they rushed for 400 yards, so their offensive line, Coach Sexton calls it the best one he's had, or at least the best one he's had in 19 years. So they're helmet sticker nominee to their offensive line.
All right. Next game, we're going to talk about Asheville versus Aniana. 2 teams that's 0-2. We're going to kick this thing over to you right here, Chandler. The line's pretty close on this one as well. Asheville gave Springville all they wanted week 1. Those teams are all in that area together. They're all kind of rivals to each other. Talk to us about this game.
Well, Asheville is going to be hungry after what happened against Anniston, but Coach Rico Jackson did tell me today that Asheville does some really good stuff offensively. The game was closer than what the 62-8 score shows. They're 0-2 now. They got beat by Springville by a point, and then got beat by a very talented Anniston team that everybody knew if they could get their offense rolling would be a really good team. And then when you look at Aniana, they got beat by Locust Fort and Cherokee County. So they've played 2 really, really good opponents. Here's the thing about it. Asheville is hungry for a win, and Aniana, we still don't know who they are or what they're made of post-Fluff. Fluff is a tough guy to lose, and so when you lose a guy like him, who's going to be that next guy to step up? And we're still looking for Aniana to have that guy step up and to be that guy that they can depend on, just like because like when things hit the fan, the past couple of years, they just turn around and give it to Fluff. And there's not a team in 4A football that could tackle him consistently. Yeah. And so
Fluff's anything but Fluff.
Yeah, he's not Fluff by any means. So if you've ever seen him in person, he is a guy that is built like a Mack truck. And so it's tough to tackle him. Asheville is a team that's hungry to get back on track. Asheville's a school that has had some really good head coaches there. When you look at Shea Monroe, and you look at Barry Simmons, they've had some guys that come in and do it the right way. Rush Probst, Bill Clark, but it's just a tough place. It's just a tough place to go and win consistently. Yeah. But I think Shepard does a really good job, and I think he's going to get that program moving in the right direction. There's a lot of excitement there, and Coach Shea Monroe did a good job of improving facilities, and he had some successful years there. And so I look for Asheville to take some steps forward. I'm intrigued by this matchup. I think this could be a lot closer than what everybody thinks.
Let's go with right here in Calhoun County, Alexandria. Very interesting matchup here, and you just mentioned Anniston and Coach Rico Jackson versus Todd Ginn. 2 1-1 teams, 4A Region 6. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, 1-1. Alexandria with a loss to Jacksonville, who I think it has a chance to be a really good football team. And then Alexandria with a big opening region game win last week against White Plains, 35-7. This will be the TV24 game of the week at Lou Scales Stadium. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, and Rico Jackson was excited about that today. He said he's never got to coach in that stadium, and I was like, well, it doesn't matter if they're good, bad, indifferent, okay. That stadium is always rocking. They always
just hearing
show
you
up
say
to watch
Luke
their
Scales
team.
Stadium, yeah, that just
like
brings
it
chills.
gives you chills. Like it's a around here, man. It's
it also has a nickname
place, and so
Death Valley.
Yeah, Death Valley. I mean,
the Valley Dog. You have to have a Valley Dog.
And so going in there, my kid was asking me if we got to go just where he could go eat a Valley Dog. But Elijah Hunter had a really good game, 3 touchdowns against White Plains, helmet sticker nominee, and Damon Pope, the quarterback, has kind of taken off at Anniston. He had a really big game last week. They've got a slew of running backs. They've got guys that are showing up to practice every day and working hard. We talked about that. They don't really have no 4 or 5-star guys, but they got guys that are hungry to win and play Anniston football.
Beckett, this is a game near and dear to your heart. Sylvania, 1-1 versus Geraldine, who's 2-0, ranked highly. This game over the last couple of years has been a traditional slobber knocker, so to speak. You know both head coaches very well. Talk to us about this game.
Yeah, Geraldine is definitely the hunted, the power, the big dog, and they're a 7-point favorite, deservedly so. It's going to be interesting. I think Sylvania's got a chance to play with them. Aiden Parham had 12 carries for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns last week for Sylvania. Standout running back, and he's going to have to shine. He's going to have to find a way to get loose. You know they're going to key on him. Helmet sticker nominee and Griffin Turner, the quarterback, went 1-13 game one, turned around and went 7 for 8, passing for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kudos for him to not there. You talk about bouncing back, not laying down. Landon Pritchett 5 tackles, Kobe Buttram 5, and Tanner Haynes 5 tackles for Sylvania. They'll have to do a really good job with a very physical Geraldine team. This is one of my game of the week nominees.
Dude, that's the turnaround from the quarterback play. That's incredible.
It is incredible.
What do you think that's a testament to?
I thought they had an off week, did a really good job. Tanner Nelson, our guy Tanner Nelson, did a really good job.
He's a dog,
man. Coach Condi did a really good job during that week, and he was banged up as well. Part of it was he had a concussion. He was out he had concussion protocol. He played through it, didn't tell anybody, and he, as a result, had some bad statistics. But turned around, and I thought the coaches did a great job putting him in a situation to have success.
All right, we're gonna kick this one to you.
Hey, real quick. Coach Nelson, I want you to know that Scott Tyree was second guessing you after that week 0 loss. I need you to know that.
All right. Okay, break this one down.
Sorry.
Fife versus Asbury. I want to hear your take on Fife versus Asbury. By the way, Brad Watkins, Heating and Cooling, Fife man. He always loves the breakdowns. B man. I want you to. This is what
we appreciate our sponsors.
This is what you get paid the big bucks for. You take this game over.
So Asbury, 0-3. All right, they have averaged 2 points a game, average giving up 51.3 a game. Good thing for them is they get a very formidable opponent in the Fife Red Devils, a team that they might be able to get it turned around on. They beat Good Hope in a jamboree game 28-0. They beat Collinsville 42-10, and it really wasn't as close as the score shows. And they lost to a really good Pisgah team 30-22. And so good opportunity for Asbury to really get moving in the right direction this week against a Fife team. Who's their coach again? I can't remember.
Oh, at Fife?
Yeah, what's his name? Benefield. Yeah, one of the most winningest coaches in the state. Asbury, though, being real right now for a second, we talked about earlier, the kids continue to show up. They continue to work hard.
Kudos.
They gave up, and their schedule don't really, like Galesville is a really good 1A football program this year. Geraldine is really good. Fife is really good. Collinsville is really good. I haven't seen Coach Willingham as excited.
They played some monsters.
Yeah, they play some monsters. The good thing is they have a couple of games remaining on their schedule that they have an opportunity to win. But when you have to play Galesville, Geraldine, Fife, Collinsville, Sylvania, when you have to play those level of competition throughout your schedule, you really don't ever get a break. And so they continue to show up. Logan Anderson has a really good year, and Fife, we know Fife, they never start out as strong as they're going to be at the end of the year. At the end of the year, they'll be a team that nobody really wants to see.
Let's talk about Collinsville coming off that loss to Fife. We're right here. We'll kick it to you. They're 1-1. Whitesboro Christian. They're favored double digits in this one. Talk about that one right quick.
Well, Collinsville caught Fife when they were mad, and you don't ever want to play a good team after a loss. They caught Fife after a week where they probably went back to the basics at practice, challenged their manhood a little bit, and really went back to what made them as successful as what they are. But when you look at Collinsville, they beat Cedar Bluff 42-0 at the beginning of the year. They lost last week to a really good Fife team, and now they get Whitesboro Christian, who they're highly favored against. And so I look for Coach Willingham and Collinsville to get back on track. And when you look at their schedule, the next 3 games are really good opportunities for them to win, and then they get Geraldine and Sylvania. So Collinsville needs to be hitting at all cylinders. They need to get things rolling these next 3 weeks before they get back-to-back matchups in back-to-back weeks versus Geraldine and Sylvania, because those are going to be two really big matchups when it comes to region seeding and stuff like that.
If I can add a couple things, that Coach Adcox at Whitesburg Christian, the legend, Decatur, forever long-time legend, he retired. Look for them; they will get better. The only question is time. Hey, kudos to Ryder Gibson. He's a helmet sticker nominee for 5. He stepped in for Logan Anderson. Now, that's skis. That is not shoes he's filling. 13 carries, 187 yards, where some people said, hey, this may be had 3 touchdowns.
How long is Logan Anderson going to be out?
They don't know. I'll write it down for you, what I've heard, but they don't know.
Okay.
Also, Collinsville, you got to do Mason McAteer 18 rushes for 96 yards, but Quintavious Henderson got shut down. That can't happen. He's got to turn around for them to get in the playoffs and get where they're wanting to be. They're wanting to do some damage in the playoffs. Got to do a little better.
We got
there.
4 more games to break down in about 5 minutes, so we got to get rolling. Then we got to give out our helmet stickers. Right here in this county, Calhoun County, we got Weaver and Sachs, both teams looking for a win. 2 0 teams at this point in the season. Two teams that are on the brink of getting a lot better.
Both these teams had scary moments last week. A Sachs player had to go to the hospital with a scary injury, and I think he's going to be okay. Weaver, Caden Gooden, one of their best players, had to be airlifted to the hospital, and he walked out under his own power. And is actually going to play this week, according to Coach Kofer. So
that's awesome.
And so that's just a miracle story there to have to be airlifted to play in the next week. They don't hear that. You don't hear that very much. But both of these teams are in desperate needs of wins. Weaver opened up with an Oak Grove team who, the more the season goes on, I think that's not going to be as bad of a loss as what people first thought. They played really well last week for a half against Welborn. Sachs has been playing really well for a half as well, and then kind of lack of depth has kind of hurt them in the second half. This is a team that both of them need to win. Coach Freeney at Sachs does an exceptional job. Coach Kofer at Weaver does an exceptional job. Both of these guys have guys that can make plays, and I'm intrigued by this matchup. I know neither team have won a game yet, but I think this is going to be a very good matchup between those two teams.
Coach Beckett, I'm going to kick the game over to you right here. This may be this or the Scottsboro Douglas, or this game right here is the game in our area of the state this week. We're talking about another team that's 2 undefeated matchups right here. So here's the other one. Locust Fork with Dino Embry back in the lineup. Very scary moment last week when he sat out and they were down 14-0, but to find a way to come back and win. Shout out to Landon Keith for playing like a man-child, stepped into that role and pretty much put the team on his back and ended up outscoring him 26-0 in the second half, and that being Appalachian to win that game going away. Versus Westbrook, very tricky game. Steve Smith in these ball games is a very, very formidable, very dangerous opponent to coach
pretty high in these games.
This is a Steve Smith game right here.
He's not scared of
and he's got it
stage.
at home at Westbrook.
Yeah, and we know Locust Fork. We've talked a ton about them. Obviously, got one of the better teams in 3A. But let's talk a little bit about Westbrook, because they're starting to look like a Steve Smith team. 277 yards. Rolled up, 252 by the quarterback, Brody Blevins. He's a young guy starting to come on, rushed for 162 yards and 3 touchdowns. A lot of things go through him, 9 of 15 passing, 90 yards. Brody Johnson, 4 catches, 30 yards. Titus Jones and Easton Skaggs, young Easton Skaggs, both had 11 tackles. There's another young guy, so they've got some young guys really contributing and stepping up. Seem to be getting a little better every week. Let's see. If they're ready for Locust Fork, who's obviously going to score points. Is Westbrook going to be able to control the clock? Are they going to be able to get in the end zone on the regular? Let's see how it plays out. And who controls the style? This is a style. You can't get in a track meet with Locust Fork. No. If it was a basketball game, you'd want to get in a half-court game with them. You are not going to run and gun. But Steve Smith will have tricks up his sleeves. He's got some players stepping up.
To me, this has got Coach Smith written all over it. At home, not a lot of people's talking about him, But what's funny is the experts have it as a 1-point game for a reason, my friend.
There's a reason.
I love that Coach Smith right here.
Locust Fork, like in the area, a lot of people are talking about that Locust Fork Piedmont matchup already, like and dismissing all these other games. Because, like you said, Piedmont, when Coach Smith was at Piedmont, there was a lot of games where people were like, well, they hadn't looked great, and all of a sudden they get to a game like this and then they turn it on.
That's right.
So.
Oh, this is I love Coach Smith, man. I love him in these situations. I love it. All right, both of you guys talk about this one. We got to really kick it in gear. We got 2 more games to talk about in 2 minutes. Welborn and Glencoe. 2-0 Welborn. Favored heavily right here versus a 1-2 Glencoe. Beckett, lead us off on the Glencoe side of things.
All right, from the Glencoe side of things, last week they had a total of 316 yards, rushed 17 times for 89 yards, and passed 9 of 18, 227, 3 touchdowns, had an interception, scored 28 points. That's not really Coach Martin's style, generally, in general. Tackles were really distributed, with the exception of the Hudsons. There wasn't a ton of tackles, and listen, they're going to have to move the football. They're going to have to, again, control the clock and try to play Welborn football. Welborn's the most physical of, team out there, or one of the most physical teams out there. So they've got to have a really good game plan this week.
Welborn standpoint.
Welborn was tied with Weaver 8-8 last week, and so they kind of showed that there's a little chink in their armor a little bit last week in that game. That game was a lot closer at halftime, even though they opened it up and scored 3 touchdowns and gave up nothing in the second half and ended up winning 30-8, not 28. But Jackson Newton played well for Welborn. He had 18 rushes for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyle Bright had 50 yards. And then the Panthers as a team rushed for 317 yards.
That's got Coach Smith written on it.
Yeah, and Coach Smith is not happy. He's happy that they're 2-0, but he said they got a long way to go. And so with their week of practice this week, it could be a tough. Yeah, it could be a tough one.
JB Pennington and Ohatchee. Ohatchee is one of the most explosive teams. They're sitting here at 1-2, which is that's crazy to me to even think that, but the way they scoring points. JB Pennington's 2-1. How do y'all see this one? We got about a minute to wrap this one up.
I think Ohatchee's got to do what we had to do one of the years at Mumford and completely re-look at their defense, and we had to do it mid-year and figure out where can we play the fastest, how can we play the best, what can we do in order to win football games, and let's put our guys in place to play football, because defensively has been a struggle all year for them. Offensively has not, but when you can't stop people, man, it puts so much pressure on the offense. I've been in games where offensively we were in a rhythm and playing well, but we kept giving up touchdown after touchdown, and as a head coach and offensively you put so much pressure to be perfect, and that when you have to play with pressure, bad things can happen.
That's correct. I think it's helmet sticker time, guys. We are right on schedule for our helmet stickers. Proud of us getting through those games. Appreciate Vlad and Bama Preps coming on. Watkins Heating and Cooling, check them out if you have not. Also, check out Countertop Creations if you need any countertops done.
Can't
Watkins,
do this without our sponsors.
Oh, absolutely. Brad Watkins and those guys do a phenomenal job. Mr. Wyman and company at Countertop Creations does a phenomenal job. Check them both out online. I want to let you kick us off, Tyree. Let's get this energy rolling.
Right,
Let's see what we got.
Off, and we'll see a lot of this guy Friday night in the TV24 game of the week. But one of my helmet sticker guys this week is Elijah Hunter from the Alexandria Valley Cubs. He ran for 170 yards and 3 scores last week in a must-win game for Alexandria.
Good-looking helmet, good-looking young man right there. Beckett?
All right, Jamel Boyd for Southside, 163 yards rushing, 20 carries. Huge win for Southside. Grind them out, back to the basics, get physical, back against the wall. Big game for him.
Mine, I'm going to throw this out. I'm going to take a little more time than these two guys breaking mine down. Mine's going to go to Jake Jones, quarterback at Scottsboro. One of the main reasons Jake Jones is getting this helmet sticker, guys, how hard is it to transition out of triple option and go into a whole nother line of work?
Very difficult.
Very
difficult.
difficult.
As a quarterback.
Not only has he done it, I want you to check it out and what kind of form he did it last week. He accounted for 361 total yards. He had 4 touchdowns. He also led his team to a very tough victory over Boaz, 42-35. Jones rushed for 226 yards on 25 carries and had 3 TDs. He also completed 12 of 15 passes for 135 yards and another scoring strike right there. So to come out of the triple and execute like that in a whole new offensive system, He's my helmet player
Time
of the
out.
week.
You act like you're going to take more time with us. 2 weeks in a row, you pick Dino Embry, who had out of these world stats, and then you pick him, and the stat line takes you 45 minutes to read, and you go act
That's
like
a
you
good
just
point.
take more time.
I had to
than
take
us.
more points. You had to give the man kudos for coming out of the triple.
You're right, but like you had a bunch of stats to read.
I did
That
have
guy had a night.
Oh, he had a night and a half. I agree. That's what I'm saying. And the way he did it, kudos to Coach Van and those guys getting those guys prepared. But also Coach Van and Jake Jones will tell you, they could not do this without that offensive line up there of Scottsboro, who's been executing at a high level. This next one, you're going to tell us who it is, but all three of us agreed on this one for a reason.
Yeah, Carson Tittle. And guys, listen, an absolute warrior. Like, when they don't make many of them like this kid anymore.
Correct.
He played last year in the playoffs with a torn ACL, rehabbed it, got back. All right, is an ultimate leader, a great quarterback, a great teammate, a good leader of men. His dad is the principal there for a reason. Will be a superintendent somewhere, and I think he falls in his dad's footsteps because he's gritty, he's a leader, and I believe that he has what it takes to be successful in whatever he does. He was 6 of 8 for 144 yards, 2 scores on one leg.
And then goes and has surgery on Monday, is now doing recovery. I'm going to kick this thing right back to you. You got another helmet sticker to talk about.
All right, I got Cason Wallace from Douglas. I want to make sure I give this man all his kudos.
First of all, the 2-0 Douglas Eagles.
Yeah, 2-0.
He's come out of the gate swinging.
2-0. All right, so he was 14 of 23 for 296 yards, 4 tutties. I get that. That's what my 7-year-old calls it.
That's what everybody calls it nowadays.
4 tutties, and he rushed for another touchdown. So a total of 5 touchdowns and over 300 yards total offense for a guy playing and putting the Douglas Eagles on the map. Congratulations.
Good choice.
My next helmet sticker is going to go to Sam Garrison of Susan Moore. This young man burst out last week with 305 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, he threw for another touchdown. This young man accounted for 5 touchdowns. Look, Al Bundy was immortalized for scoring 4 touchdowns at Polk High in one game. This dude had 5 last week. Sam Garrison killed it, 305 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Also added another passing touchdown. Sam Garrison is definitely a helmet sticker for me this week. Beckett?
All right, Coach Tyree, I'm going to bounce off of what you did with, honoring Donahoe with the, getting their first win. And I'm going to say the Host Bluff entire offensive line, 400 yards rushing, they are ahead of schedule with everything they're doing.
Right there. Look at that picture.
Nice picture you found, by the way. Those guys are moving the line. And I'll be honest with you, they play Southside, and I think I told these guys they're going to have a hard time up front. But there again, the next day, I'm texting Coach Rob, and I'm going, y'all may have been the more physical team against a ginormous Southside. Just a huge front. Kudos to them.
When you look at Hoax Bluff throughout history, everything starts with their offensive line. And you look at those kids in that picture right there. Those kids are put together. They're big, they're physical, and they lean on you. By the end of games, they're opening up these huge gaping holes. And that's what a testament. Those guys rushed for 400 yards last week.
Absolutely.
I think they threw maybe completed 1 or 2 passes. Bryce Whitaker didn't have to throw it.
They don't have to throw it because you get behind them big uglies, the big hogs, and they've got some playmakers over there at Hoax Bluff as well.
Guys, we got about 3 minutes, and then we're going to wrap the show up. Let's just talk about this upcoming week. Beckett, who are you looking to see? Some games, some things that's jumped off the page.
Hey, really excited. A couple games. Is Geraldine Sylvania? Is Sylvania going to be able to match the success that's going on in Geraldine? Sachs Weaver, hey, rivalry right across the road from each other. And Sachs is playing people really close for a large part of the game. Weaver's been banged up. Can Sachs turn things back around, or will Weaver get a chance to win? Gainesville Appalachian's got a big bearing in that region. Gales was having success. Appalachian, lights out, played Locust Fort. And then finally Southside and Fort Payne. Looking forward to that one.
Mine, I'm going to have to go with, it starts right there in Etowah County, right literally 2 minutes from my house. Coach Steve Smith at home versus this juggernaut of Locust Fork. Dino Embry's back in the lineup. So many variables going into that game. Coach Smith at home is going to be the atmosphere there is going to be unbelievable. That's the game that my eyes will be glued on. Also, Douglas and Scottsboro, 2 undefeated teams. One team's been as battle tested as you could possibly be. One team has just went out and just took care of business with Coach Lyles. 24 seniors for Douglas. It's got a lot of reps, a lot of football played on their side of the thing. And then you turn around and look at Scottsboro, new system, Jake Jones, helmet sticker. So many variables into that game. Those 2 games right there, really, I know it's the 2 undefeated matchups, but they're also undefeated for a reason, and I think all eyeballs will be on those 2 games.
I'm looking forward to seeing McAdory and Gaston City, Southside and Fort Payne. I'm looking forward to seeing Alexandria and Anniston in the TV24 game of the week. Jacksonville and Centerpoint, like I said, I think that game's going to be closer than the experts think. Sylvania and Geraldine, I think that's a very intriguing matchup. Weaver and Sachs, like Coach said, rivalry game. Both teams desperately need a win. Locust Fork, Westbrook Christian. I think J.B. Pennington Ohatchee is a lot bigger than what people think. I think playoff implications are on that game against 2 really good teams. Section and Sandrock, can Coach Heath and Sandrock continue to keep it rolling? That's really the ones that I'm looking forward to seeing the most.
Hey, keep doing a good job. We're really, really enjoying your 5th quarter show.
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
I appreciate that.
You and your dad are killing it. Your dad said, this is his words, not mine, that he has a face for radio or something like that, he told me.
Yeah, he does.
But he knows his stuff.
Unfortunately, I look like him.
Well, he knows his stuff, and he does a fantastic job producing that show. You kind of spearhead it with the talking and everything.
Yeah, man, the thing
so
about it is a lot of people don't realize what he does behind the scenes. So we couldn't have the show and do what we do without him doing it behind the scenes.
Even streaming tonight on Average Joe's,
yeah,
you can look at a little bit
that.
different lineup there. He's done a fantastic job with that. Guys, that's going to do it for our show this week. We're going to wrap things up. Again, thanks to Brad Watkins and Watkins Heating and Cooling. Any of your, air conditioning, heater needs, anything like that, you see Brad Watkins, he's going to take care of you. Countertop Creation, Tommy Wyman and company there. Any countertop needs, go out and see those guys. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks for you 2 guys. Thanks for Vlad for stopping in for the first bit of the show. Go check out Bama Preps on Instagram. And thanks you guys for joining us.
Look, have you ever had a bank give you money for anything? Family Savings actually pays me for keeping my money at their credit union. I earn interest of 3% APY on my checking account and 1.5% APY on my savings.